He's from Elk Grove, California. He's the first mayor of Hmong descent that has been elected in the United States. I got to know this individual last year, hung out with him for a day and an evening, and this guy is fascinating. If you just hear his stories, if you just hear what he's been through, if you just hear what drove him, what motivated for him to become who he is today, you would be inspired the same way I did. If you just listen to his stories of adversity, how people tell you you're a refugee and you shouldn't make it, or you shouldn't be in that position, this guy is a driver. This guy is a motivator. And the Wausau, the Hmong community in the city of Wausau is excited to have him here today, all the way from Elk Grove, California. Please help me welcome Mayor Steve Lee! Now, that was such an awesome introduction. I'd like to take you back to Elk Grove, and every time I go on stage, I'd like you to give me that kind of introduction. You know, my distinct pleasure to be here, really. Thank you so much for the Hmong community here, for your hospitality. Not only that, but I'm so impressed with the number of elected that are here. I wish in California we could get all the electeds to cooperate, because as the mayor, that's always a challenge. To get 2 council members to agree on anything is a feat in itself. So thank you all the electeds for being here, starting with the governor to the Marathon County Chair, the Board of Supervisors, school board members, county administrators, mayors, council members, and the village representatives. There are too many of you to mention. You know who you are. You come out here not for any sort of fame or any stroke of your ego, but you are here for the right reasons, and that makes me extremely proud that even here in a small community like the Hmong community in Wausau, there are many electeds who have your interest and who have their hearts in the right place. So on behalf of the Hmong community, thank you to each and every one of you. I certainly want to acknowledge the Hmong American Center, not only that, but Yilang, and also President Jambang Mua for your leadership, and of course the entire board as well, and your willingness to continue to do this wonderful festival here in Wausau. Now, this is not the first time that I am in Wisconsin, and certainly not the first time in Wausau. And every time I come, I see the Midwestern kindness, the Wisconsin niceness, and I am reminded that us Californians, we have many things to learn from Wisconsin. When I look to Wisconsin, one thing in particular, as the senator earlier mentioned, is some of the efforts by the state government to record the history of the Hmong veterans, these oral histories that, if not recorded now, will forever be lost. That's something that we have to learn in the state of California. For many of the Hmong in the state of California, and many of you may not know, but the state of California actually is home to the largest Hmong population in the United States. But because we are so scattered throughout the state, oftentimes people assume that Minnesota or Wisconsin has more Hmong individuals. But nonetheless, it goes to show that the electeds and the government officials in Wisconsin and Minnesota probably loves the Hmong community a little bit more than the state of California. The efforts in which we have done in California, which resembles the efforts here in Wisconsin, includes recording some of these stories, these oral stories. Many of the veterans, School District in Elk Grove Unified, we have a time of remembrance, a set of videos in which we recorded many of the refugee stories and many of the veteran stories. So for any teacher in the world who wants to use this as part of their curriculum, it is readily available online and it is free. So for some of you school board members and the superintendent who's here, that is a resource that the Elk Grove Unified School District under the Time of Remembrance program that we offer to any educator around the world. These are important stories that if not recorded now, it will be lost forever. But bear in mind, the wonderful part about this is every American here in the United States have this very similar story. Doesn't matter whether you came here 150 years ago, 40 years ago, or yesterday. You have a story, and that's what makes America special. And what's wonderful about these oral stories that are recorded forever is that young people can actually go back and try to figure out, why is there a dairy farm in our community? Who was the individual who came here with their family to start this dairy farm? Or why is the street named Hmong? Who is this Hmong guy? What rank was he in the Secret War of Laos? What did he do to bring his family here? These are important stories that all of us bear the burden of retelling it forward. That's why today's celebration is so special. It's about coming together, different community members, different government entities, regionally, to come and support a community like the Hmong community. I believe and I trust that this is not the only event here in Wausau that resembles this. But today we focus on the Hmong, and that's what's special. Each and every one of us come from different parts of the world. Each and every one of us have a different background, but we come today to acknowledge and celebrate the Hmong community. Why? Because only 40 years ago, we know the Hmong's contribution in the Vietnam War. Many veterans who are here today, the last of 30, 40,000 strong at one point. In Lucy Hờ nó cú rong xia để bỏ tôi ngọ chú sẽ đỡ tua và sơ bây giờ mong sẽ đỡ là mà người ta có đi là nã thử cho bây giờ nào lo cao. Your contributions will forever be remembered by many of us, because the stories that we've heard before, the stories in which the Hmong squad that goes into the hill to rescue the American pilot, regardless of whether the pilot is rescuable or whether the pilot has been killed. The stories in which my father has told me about going to a Phantom jet that's crashed and scraping the remains of the American pilot into a body bag so that that can be returned home to America, to his family, so that they can have closure. This is the bond that the Hmong Americans have that no bullet can shatter. This is the bond that will last forever, and that's what makes the Hmong community very special. That's what makes the Hmong celebration today very special. We bear the burden of retelling this story to young people, to other people, and for many of you who are elected, you have to tell the full story. The Vietnam War includes a chapter in Southeast Asia, in Laos, the theater of Laos, which involved the Hmong, the Mien, the Koom. These are minorities that rose up and fought for democracy, that rescued American pilots, and disrupted the Ho Chi Minh Trail and protected the radar positions so that the bombing runs can happen in Hanoi. These are important facts that we must remember. When I look into the various different states, I have to say Wisconsin is a leader in this. In the early days, we heard that the Wisconsin elected officials, the various folks who are either at the municipal or state level, are the ones who have recognized the Hmong veterans, who have acknowledged the Hmong veterans. And it took a little bit later until Minnesota, California actually followed that. And probably, to be honest with you, California is probably the furthest behind, because we forget that whenever we see new faces, people of different colors here in the United States, it's because the United States of America was involved somehow in that region. That's why I'm a refugee. I bear the badge of honor. I am a refugee, a former refugee who came to this country because of our involvement. We cannot forget these things. We have to acknowledge it. We have to be accountable to it. We know that refugees at one point rescued American pilots. We know that refugees are the ones that protect American interests, that are on the ground. That's why every time there's a war, there's always an influx of refugees. This is a fact. It doesn't matter how you portray it, it is a reality. So that's what is so wonderful about this, is paying tribute to the Hmong refugees who came here because of a war, and who came here and continued to cling on the fact that we help fight for democracy. That's what the Hmong is so special. That's why this festival is so special. When I look into the audience, I see people of different colors. Whether you're an elected, whether you're a constituent, whether you're just somebody who's walking by. When I look to that, I see that here in Wausau, here in Wisconsin, there's a unity amongst people of different colors. That's what America should be. We should not be talking about how different we are, but we should look to the fact that we all share a common thread of believing in a place called America, a place in which we can have faith in. You know, America, continuing that beacon of freedom, that beacon of light, where the rest of the world can look to and say, we want to be like America. I kid you not, I've been to Israel, I've been to Palestine, I've been to China, and everywhere I go, when I talk about these concepts, those individuals that live in different countries, they look to me in awe. How could a people united by just a thought that we should be having free elections, that we should believe in democracy? It is only Americans. And to each and every one of you who believe in that concept, that is what we celebrate today. When I look to the Hmong community, it is only short 40 years that from the Mekong to the Mississippi, from the mountains of Laos to the Carolinas to the coast of California, we look to the Hmong community and we've seen success. We've seen many Hmong professionals who have dispelled the myth that the debate in the floor of Congress before the Hmong came here was all about whether these hillbillies can actually survive here in the United States. But the Hmong community, when I look, they've defied the odds. We've seen senators, we've seen elected officials, we've seen doctors, lawyers, actors, actresses. These are individuals that at one point were refugees, were hillbillies that lived in the hills. If the Hmong can do it, anyone in the world can do it too. The success of the Hmong people should certainly be acknowledged, should certainly be recognized, but this is no different than any other American story. To the Irish Americans, to the Scots, to the Italian Americans, to the African Americans who continue to struggle, it is the same story. It's about coming to America, believing in something that's greater than us, and striving, working very hard so that we can achieve that very goal. Now, because I came over 2,000 miles to talk to a bunch of Wisconsinites, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how important it is during this time in the state of California, in the city of Elk Grove. I'm involved in a competitive campaign. And I'm actually here to fundraise in the Hmong community in Sheboygan tomorrow. But for many of you who can make it to Sheboygan, it doesn't matter what color you are, so long as you're there to support Mayor Steve Lee and the city of Elk Grove, you're more than welcome to come to Sheboygan. So I just wanted to throw that out a little bit of that to each and every one of you in the case that you go to Sheboygan. But nonetheless, you can also make your contributions today. Either my point person would be Mary or Elaine, and I'll make them collect it. How's that? But on a serious note, when I look back to the whole reasons why we're here, only in America could a hillbilly in the mountains of Laos be able to stand before you as a law school graduate, as a mayor. Only in America, where we have parents that did not know what education was, but yet understood that they need to tell their kids to go to higher education. It's only in America that we see this festival, a festival of this magnitude, that's all-inclusive. People of different colors, political philosophy, to come together to celebrate a concept. When I think about America, I think about one simple thing. God bless this great country, because if not for America, we would not all be here. If not for America, we would not honor democracy. It is in this great country that we continue to exercise this experiment of democracy. So God bless you, and God bless this great country we call the United States of America.